Synthesis of the events in the earthly paradise. The last six cantos of Purgatory are dedicated to the earthly paradise and are unanimously considered the most difficult of the poem because of the overabundance of symbols and singular allegorical figures not always clearly interpretable. Below, I make a brief summary of the principal events. Dante is walking through the divine forest, dense and so alive, until a small river bars his way. He doesn't manage to cross it, but he sees many things beyond it. First, page 213, woman singing as she gathers flowers. It is still not Beatrice, but Matilda, who is approaching him, remaining, however, on the other bank. Then he views an extraordinary procession, preceded by seven gold candelabri, to which numerous characters participate who represent the Old and New Testaments. At the center of the procession, there is a triumphal carriage pulled by a griffin, a fantastic animal, half eagle and half lion. They would represent, respectively, according to critics, the Church and Jesus Christ. At the corners of the carriage, there are the four winged animals, traditional symbols of the four evangelists, and at the sides, the 3 and 4 dancing women who depict in an unequivocal way the virtues. At a certain moment, the procession halts and all turn their gaze to the carriage, and there, within a cloud of flowers, Beatrice appears. Dante, moved, turns towards Virgil, and with sadness realizes he is no longer at his side. Dante, do not weep, Beatrice rebukes him, and continues then with a long closing speech for the prosecution, in which she lists his faults, calling for a confession. He confesses, and after a further reproach for Beatrice, he faints. When he recovers, he finds himself immersed in the river. Matilda first submerges him totally, then brings him onto the other bank and delivers him to the four dancing women virtues, who in their turn take him in front of Beatrice, who, being still in the carriage, shows him first her eyes and then her smiling mouth. After a series of further incidents, almost all of the characters, including the Griffin Christ, go up to heaven. Beatrice remains with the seven women virtues and the carriage church that suffers a horrible deformation and is gradually transformed into a monster, the monster with the 7 heads and 10 horns about which Revelation speaks. On this is seated, as it was in Revelation, a whore that, according to the commentators, represents the Roman Curia or even the Pope. Alongside her is a giant that represents the King of France. He first kisses her, then scourges her, and finally flees with her and the monstrous carriage church until they disappear. It's clear that it concerns an allusion to the transfer of the papal seat to Avignon, which occurred in 1305. The last canto starts with a prophecy by Beatrice that this chaos will not remain unpunished because, page 214, dispatched by God, a 510 and 5 will slay the whore, together with that giant who sins with her. Purgatory 33, 43 to 45. They are difficult words, and Beatrice herself defines it as a dark narration, obscure, that contains a tough puzzle, difficult to understand, but exhorts Dante to take note of her words and report them to the living, to us. Finally, they come to a point from which two rivers spring. One is the Lethe, the river of forgetfulness, in which Dante had been immersed by Matilda; the other, the Eunoe, the river of memory. Dante drinks from it, and this renders him pure and disposed to climb up to the stars. As I believe one might also guess from this brief synthesis, they are extremely complex cantos, where every character, every gesture, I would say almost every word, is susceptible to a plurality of interpretations and meanings, not always easy to grasp. I will limit myself to analyze those events that, to my mind, are relevant to the consolamentum, starting with the Cathar liturgy related to this sacrament, according to the book The Religion of the Cathars by Jean Duvernoy, who gives a rather detailed and complete description of it.